Back in the third week of July, the Royals were floundering. Below 500, the Tigers seemingly had control over the division. But since then, Kansas City, until the last week, has been on a tear. The Indians have made a move. The Tigers lost again today, and it could be a wild finish between three teams in the American League Central this season. Hi, everybody, and welcome to beautiful Kauffman Stadium. Dan Schulman, John Kruk, glad you're with us tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. It is not often that the Kansas City Royals in recent years have found themselves in a contending position on the last day of August. They are in that position this year. What makes this team a good team?
Well, they can always defend the baseball, and that's something that Ned Yost, the managers, never had to worry about. But now they're starting to get every facet of the game going. Best record in baseball, 26-11. Since July 22nd, and they're scoring runs now. Not a lot of home runs, but clutch hitting. 314 with runners in scoring position, leads Major League Baseball. Starters ERA, all the power arms that come out of the Ned Yost rotation, strikeout guys, and he feels that once he gets in the sixth inning, seventh inning with the lead, the game is over with Herrera, Davis, and Holland finishing up the game for him. He thinks that it's lights out and it's time to go home.
You go back to July the 21st, so it looked like it would be another season with some pretty high expectations, but maybe some disappointment for the Royals. But, Buster, what changed on the next day?
Well, Dan, on July 22nd, with the Royals 2 games under 500, veteran players on the team, including Raul Ibanez, called a players-only meeting in the trainer's room in Chicago, and there were 2 major themes in that meeting. 1, this is a really talented team, and 2, it's time to ratchet up expectations. And since then, the Royals have gone 16-11, moved into first place in the American League Central, a standing they'll be trying to defend tonight against the charging Indians. Dan?
And that's exactly what they are, Buster. Just like they were last year, went 15-2 at the end of the season to win one of the wild card spots. They're the hotter of the 2 teams right now. They've won 6 of the last 7. They don't have a lot of household names, but they've got one of the best all-around outfielders in baseball, perhaps, in Michael Brantley.
Well, he's making himself a household name with the season he's putting together here in 2014. Terry Francona had a loss for words about Michael Brantley. He said he's done everything we've asked him to do. When Michael Bourne got hurt, he put him in center field, and we didn't skip a beat defensively with Brantley out in center field. The thing I like about it, though, Dan, over 500 at-bats, only 47 strikeouts. He understands the value of putting the ball in play, using his speed, 17 stolen bases, only caught once.
It will be a challenge for Brantley and the Indians tonight against a lefty with nasty stuff. Danny Duffy, a 2.47 ERA on the season. It's the Royals and the Indians in a very big game coming up. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by the new Dollar Cravings menu at Taco Bell, Live Mas, and in part by Chevrolet, Find New Roads, and the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. We get ready for baseball tonight here. The final game of a 3-game series with the Cleveland Indians winning each of the first 2 as they stay hot. Let's check out the starting lineup for Terry Francona's Indians, presented as always by Taco Bell. And the one guy, or one of the guys, that the Royals have had no answer for this year, especially in this ballpark, is Carlos Santana. Crazy numbers: 15 for 31, 6 home runs, and 14 RBIs in 8 games in this ballpark this year. Michael Brantley, as we talked about in the open, a terrific all-around player. Jose Ramirez has done a nice job at shortstop for the Indians in recent weeks. And Yan Gomes just back off the 7-day concussion DL. He is a potent bat as well. Crucky on the mound tonight for the Royals, a lefty in Danny Duffy, who should have a much better record than 8-11.
Yeah, the numbers dictate that he should be a lot better record-wise than what he is. But, I mean, you talk to Ned Yost, there was no doubting. He said, throw that record away. You look at his numbers, opponent's batting average, .201, lowest in the American League. A power pitcher who has learned how to pitch with that power, and he's learned how to control his emotions. Ned Yost said a lot of that has to do with James Shields helping him out with that aspect of the game. And once he's controlled his emotions, the strike zone has become a friend of his, Dan.
They tell us it's the 3rd sellout of the season here at Kauffman Stadium. As Michael Bourne steps in and takes outside, ball 1 for the Indians. Paul Emmel, the crew chief, is our home plate umpire tonight. Bourne hitting .267. He's a speedster, but he has had a hamstring problem this year, which has really cut down on his ability to run, as Alex Gordon, the 3-time Gold Glove Award winner out in left field, ranges back to make the catch. And this is one of the things the Royals are known for: good defense all over the field.
Talked about it in the opening. They catch the ball when it's hit, especially when it's hit in the air. And Alex Gordon has quickly become, to me, the best left fielder in baseball. Great instincts, great first step. Doesn't really, you'll never see him take a step in, the ball go over his head, or step back and the ball drop in front of him. Great reads off the bat.
1 down, and here's Jose Ramirez. Ramirez, a 21-year-old switch hitter, just called up a few weeks ago. The Indians traded Asdrubal Cabrera, one of their key guys in recent years, but a guy who hadn't played as well the last couple of years. He's now with Washington. And Ramirez comes with a reputation of very good range, average arm, and he has handled himself pretty well with a bat. He had a triple in the 11th inning last night and scored the go-ahead run that made it 2-1 Indians. They eventually took a 3-1 lead and then held on to win 3-2. But Ramirez has done a nice job. I don't want to say filling in, but taking over for Cabrera the last few weeks.
Yeah, like Terry Francona said, he said, he gets to just about every ball. When people say he doesn't have a great arm, he said, how many guys can go deep in the hole, shortstop, and throw anyone out? Anyway, he's very happy with his performance. And I love the fact he's a young player. And Terry told us, he said, 21 years old, he'll make some mistakes, but he's hitting him second in the lineup. I love that when a young player gets called up and they don't hit him 8th or 9th.
And the fastball misses just outside at 97 miles an hour from Duffy. This is a Kansas City staff loaded with hard throwers and guys with above average stuff. And the 2-2 breaking ball swung on and missed, 2 down.
Well, Dan, when you throw 96, 97, you can get away with a hanging breaking ball because you have to start so early to get to that heater. And once he throws that, that's not a good breaking ball. And you might not want to throw that one to some of these power hitters for the Cleveland Indians. This guy coming up right now. But you can get away with it if you're establishing 96, 97 early.
So here's Brantley with 2 down and nobody on, an all-star this year. All kinds of great numbers for him. Driving in a lot of runs. 17 of 18 stealing bases. He's hit 36 doubles on the season. But of note, Duffy, and you can see why early, no fun for left-handed batters. Lefties are hitting just 132 off Duffy this season.
And Brantley only hitting in the 250s against lefties this year, which when you see some of these lefties he's having to face, you can understand why.
And a quick 0-2 count. That looked like a changeup down and in there on the 0-1 pitch.
Very rare for a lefty power pitcher to throw a left-handed hitter a changeup, but I guess when you have the arsenal that Danny Duffy has, you can kind of get away with anything, can't you?
a guy who had Tommy John surgery back in 2012. Started the year as a reliever for the Royals. This is his 22nd start of the season. Brantley stays alive. The Indians are feeling pretty good about themselves right now. They have won 6 of their last 7, and tomorrow on Labor Day, hard to believe it's Labor Day already, Terry Francona's Indians begin a pivotal 4-game series at home against the Detroit Tigers. And you can see tomorrow's game here on ESPN, part of a Labor Day doubleheader. Breaking ball just misses. Big crowd and a lively crowd here in the early going at Kauffman Stadium. And the inning is over. Another changeup to get him. 3 up, 3 down, 2 strikeouts. A good start for Duffy.
Real work still ahead. The seasons have changed, and so have the stakes. Contenders try to avoid the flop. Pretenders rev up to spoilers. Underdogs try for the miracle. Magic numbers, expanded rosters, scoreboard watching. It's crunch time. Tomorrow is Labor Day. More work, less play.
Yeah, the hunt for October, I guess you could say, is officially underway. It is September tomorrow, and both of these teams have visions of playing in October. The Royals hoping to get there for the first time since 1985. A look at the starting lineup for Kansas City tonight, presented by Taco Bell. This team is 9th in the American League in runs scored, but they're an unusual offensive team. They have very little power. They're last in the majors in home runs. They're last in the majors in drawing walks. They put the ball in play more than any other team, and they lead the majors in stolen bases. What is this, the 1980s?
It is. It's 1980s Cardinals is what it looks like. You know, this is what they have to do. They thought they had a big power guy that they traded, Will Myers, that they traded. They thought he could be a big power guy, but they knew they needed pitching. So they traded him. They get Shields. They get Wade Davis. How big a help have those two been to this team? And
there's Nori Aoki leading off, playing right field for Kansas City. More on the Royals offense in a moment. On the mound for the Indians tonight is their 5th starter, left-hander TJ House, who effectively took the place of the departed Justin Masterson. And House, a 5 or 6 inning guy. And that pitch is a big pitch for him. That sinking fastball, 91, 92 miles an hour, has to keep it down at the bottom end of the zone. He has a 4.18 ERA on the season and a 2-3 record in 14 appearances, 13 starts. The Royals maybe suit their payroll, their market size, their ballpark as well. They're not a bunch of thumpers, but they've got great speed. Aoki's got some, Kane, Dyson, Escobar, and they've got a lot of rangy defenders too, especially in the outfield, where they can really go get the ball. It'll be a tough play, and safe at first, Aoki. Don't know if the ball hit him. It might have hit him as he was edging towards first base, but either way, he is safe. An infield hit for Aoki.
No, it's not pretty, but with 2 strikes, you're just, like you said, they put the ball in play and make you defend. And Mike Aviles makes a great play to barehand that ball. The throw, though, rushes up the line a little bit, cutting on Carlos Santana. He tries to stretch and stay on the base. As you can see, he can't reach it. Hits Aoki in the back. But a runner on, and here they go.
And Aoki aboard to begin the game for Omar Infante. One of the veterans the Royals brought in, signed him to a 4-year deal. The second baseman is playing with a sore right shoulder. Missed games Tuesday through Friday. Missed 4 in a row. Played last night. Ned Yost says he's about 80%. They'd love to get him to 90%, but it's not going to be 100% at any point this year. And this is a team that will put some plays on. They'll run, they'll bunt, they'll hit and run because they can't depend on the long ball.
Yeah, if they wait for the big 3-run homer, it might not be coming. So but like you said, the Indians aren't a great defensive team, so you press the issue on them.
Right center, base hit. Aoki will make the turn. The throw comes into second, and the Royals are off to a promising start.
But here's where TJ House can't live in the strike zone. Not a big power guy, 90 to 92 miles an hour. So you got to keep the ball down, and that pitch up out over the plate, a perfect pitch for a guy like Omar Infante, who's trying to hit the ball the other way to get Aoki at least to second base. Now they got first and third, and here comes their guy, Alex Gordon, up the bat.
Gordon, just a terrific all-round player. We talked about the defense already. Hitting .277, 17 home runs. He's had a couple of years where he's had over 40 doubles. Ned Yost says he is as well prepared and as meticulous in his preparation as anybody he's ever seen. Driven deep enough to left to get a run home. Aoki will tag, and the sac fly gives Kansas City an early 1-0 lead. And already this is much different than just 24 hours ago. Last night they loaded the bases with nobody out in the first and didn't score a run. And over the course of the 11-inning game, Crucky, they went 2 for 18 with runners in scoring position and left 16 men on base in the game.
Yeah, and it's so unlike them to do that. We mentioned it in the open, how clutch they are with runners in scoring position. Last night, though, just one of those nights, and now tonight back to the execution. Infield single, base hit to right field. We got a first and third situation. First pitch, Gordon, fly ball to left, 1-0 Royals.
And here's Billy Butler. Butler, normally the DH for Kansas City, has been playing first base in recent weeks. Eric Hosmer, their normal first baseman, is on the DL right now, a broken bone in his hand. He's on rehab. He played yesterday and today in minor league games, and they're hoping to get him back in the next few days. Interesting, because Butler hits much better when he's at first rather than a DH, but obviously you get Hosmer back. He's a Gold Glove first baseman. Butler goes back to DH.
Yeah, talking to him today before the game, and he mentioned how much he's enjoying playing first base, how he thinks it keeps his mind off of his previous at bat because he has to go out on the field and worry about that part of the game.
And he gets hit on the knee. Like a slider from House that ran right in and hit Butler right on the knee. Just below the knee, actually, on the calf. And
those are some big calves. Sure, that one didn't. It might cramp up a little bit, but it's not going to hurt him too much.
2 on, 1 out, a run in.
You heard Rusty Kuntz tell him the catcher likes to throw behind the runner. So don't get a big, huge secondary lead and then put your head down and fall asleep.
Here's Salvador Perez. Normally the catcher, DHing tonight, hitting .265, 15 home runs, 59 RBIs. One of the underrated players on this Kansas City team. A guy that they just love offensively and defense, especially defensively. A terrific catcher. And a guy really starting to come into his own. It's a bouncer to second, though, for 1 and 2, and the inning is over. But the Royals do cash in a run. And at the end of 1 in Kansas City, have an early 1-0 lead. Presented by Taco Bell is brought to you by 100% Jose Cuervo Traditional. Grab hold of Cuervo's history in a bottle. And Bayer Back and Body, the official pain reliever of MLB. Here's Carlos Santana of the Cleveland Indians. We told you graphically the damage that he has done against the Royals in this stadium this year. He hit 5 home runs in a 4-game series in this ballpark in late July. In Crucky, he hit another one out Friday night in this series. He's got 6 home runs in 8 games in this ballpark this year.
Well, he's a dead fastball hitter, and we talked about the Royals, their starting rotation, their bullpen, all guys who throw hard. Fits right into what he's doing at the plate.
Hard hit ball, but right at the shortstop. Alcides Escobar, 1 pitch, 1 out. So 4 up, 4 down so far for Danny Duffy on the mound for the Royals, and that'll bring up Jason Kipnis as you get a look at Kauffman Stadium, considered by everyone who has been here or seen games here to be one of the nicest ballparks in baseball. It's the 5th oldest ballpark in baseball, but it is aging very well. The waterfalls, the fountains out in center field, the renovations they did 5 years ago, I guess, with the enormous video scoreboard in center, adding extra seats, standing room seats out in the outfield. It's a pretty place to watch a ball game.
It's a beautiful place. And, you know, when you remember back to the 80s when they were playing in the World Series and it was AstroTurf, and thank goodness that most teams have gotten away from that stuff and gotten back to more traditional stadiums. It looked beautiful.
Shallow right center field, and a diving catch made by Lorenzo Cain. They're used to seeing defense like that in this ballpark.
Jared Dyson gets a day off. They put Lorenzo Cain moving from right to center, and they don't lose a beat. great athlete that he is, and look at the concentration. Eyes never left the ball, fouled it all the way into the glove. This seems like a end of September getaway day. Guys swinging early in the count.
Quickly 2 outs here in the top of the second. And you can see Lorenzo Cain has measured by defensive run saved is second among all American League outfielders. And the guy to his right is first, Alex Gordon. Ned Yost talking about defense. We talked about the 3 Gold Glove Award winners. He thinks some year, if everybody stays healthy, they've got a chance to win 5 or 6 Gold Gloves, which is
where do you
unheard of. Yeah.
Hey guys, when I talked to Dayton Moore, their general manager, the other day, what he told me was when they've done internal studies, the outfield here has the second largest square footage of any ballpark in baseball other than Coors Field, which is, of course, bigger because the elevation there. So they went and got guys who can cover that ground.
And it is the second biggest ballpark in terms of area or square footage in the outfield. It's 387 to the alleys.
Well, and this team is built for this ballpark. Gordon can run, Cain can run, Aoki can run, Dyson's out there can fly. It's a comforting feeling when you're a pitcher and you know if you get behind in the count, you can throw something hard away, up or down, and say if you want to hit a home run, hit it as far as you want to center or left, and our guys are going to run it down.
2-2 the count on Gomes, a catcher who is DHing tonight. So both regular catchers are in the DH spot tonight. Gomes a power threat with 17 home runs on the season. Spent some time on the concussion deal, the 7-day concussion deal. Returned a few days ago. The Indians are 70-64 on the season. They've won 6 out of 7. They are 3.5 back of Kansas City. In the American League Central, the Tigers lost to the White Sox today, so they're a half game back of the Royals. And a base hit through the right side for Gomes. First base runner of the night for the Indians, and that'll bring up the third baseman, Mike Aviles. Aviles, one of a number of players on the Indians, sporting some pretty snazzy mustaches these days. Their clubhouse is full of them right now.
Is that what we're calling them, snazzy?
First pitch swinging. There's a lot of that going around so far in the early going tonight. Lazy fly ball to center to end the inning. That one was routine for Cain. The one earlier in the inning was not. A more terrific defense by the Royals. And what does a good pitcher do? Thanks his teammate for saving him a base hit, keeping him out of trouble. Something I would imagine Royals pitchers have done a lot this year. By the way, later in the game, top 6, I believe, James Shields of the Kansas City Royals is going to join us live from the dugout, break down this team this season a little bit. We got a chance to visit with him briefly in the clubhouse before the game. He sounds like he's having fun.
Well, he should be. They're in first place. That's always fun.
Hot shot down to third. And a nice play made by Aviles to retire Kane, 1 down. Mike Moustakas. It's part of the core, the nucleus really, of the young hitters, Crucky, that have been developed in the organization, come up to the majors the last few years. As you can see, it has been a struggle for Moustakas, but he was down in the 150s back in May, got sent out for 2.5 weeks. Since he's come back, has hit in the 230s. Ned Yost attributed 2 things to his early struggles. One was the shift. He said it really got in Moustakas' head, and there it is. Something that, of course, has become much more prevalent this year. That's a ground ball to first no matter how they play. And the other was things start going badly and you just put so much pressure on yourself. You're squeezing the bat too tight, you can't relax.
Yeah. Consequently, when that happens, you start chasing pitches out of the zone. You become overly aggressive or overly cautious, and you're taking too many good pitches. Ned Yost told us, though, when they sent him down, he said he remembered how much fun the game was to play when he went back to the minor leagues. That, this is an enjoyable game. You should have fun playing it. And they said now he's loosened up a little. He's enjoying it a little more. And slowly but surely, success is starting to come for Mike Moustakas.
So quickly, 2 down here in the bottom of the second. 1-0 the Royals lead. And here's the catcher, Eric Kratz.
Former Blue Jay great.
Former Blue Jay and Philly
great.
It was picked up in a deal along with Liam Hendricks for Danny Valencia a few weeks ago.
TJ House hadn't quite gotten that slider dialed in yet. He hit Billy Butler with one there. He almost hit Kratz. He almost hit Lorenzo Cain with one. Maybe holding on to it a tad long. What do you think?
Pitching here in a 90-degree evening. A warm, windy, warm night here in Kansas City.
It's only 90?
You thought it was more than 90. You're not known as being a guy who loves extreme heat.
Like any heat. But the wind here's even. When
the wind was hot.
It was hot.
It was, yeah. And there is a threat a little bit later on this evening of some weather.
Mike Swanson, the PR man for the Kansas City Royals, said maybe 10 o'clock.
The great Mike Swanson.
The great Swan.
The great Swan.
One of the best ever.
Yeah. At the knees, a strike and a full count on Kratz.
Maybe that's why both teams are hacking away early.
Fouled back.
I think tonight's the night we get a ball hit up to us. I have a feeling we will. Seems like we're lower than normal.
Than most ballparks?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, good luck with that. That clearly falls under your umbrella.
What? Yeah.
You should read the fine print on your contract.
I would need an umbrella to catch a ball.
I say we just try to avoid, like Bob Uecker said about catching the knuckleball. We avoid it, let it roll to a stop, and then pick it up.
Yeah.
We don't want to mess with that.
No.
8th pitch of the at-bat upcoming. And time called. I'm not sure if it was Kratz who requested it or maybe Perez behind the plate, but House looked like he was already into his windup when time was called. Towards the right field corner and caught by Tyler Holt as he crosses the line, and that'll end the inning. Another good defensive play. 1-0 Kansas City at the end of 2. back of the Royals for first place in the American League Central. And again, there are the Indians, having won 6 out of 7, just 3.5 back, and a team that only has to think back to last season and how well they finished the year to make the playoffs. Cleveland won 92 games last year, won a wild card spot. They had a terrific September. And you know him well, as I do. Terry Francona is, he's been there, done that. He's won a couple of World Series championships. Here they were in worse shape a year ago on this date than they are right now, but had a great September. Got the second wild card spot in the American League, lost to Tampa Bay in the one-game wild card playoff, but still it was a terrific season for the Indians. And you don't sense any tension down in that Cleveland clubhouse, and that guy's one of the big reasons why.
Yeah, there's no tension in there. And then, talking to the players, they say, how can you not like to play for him? He said every day it's fun. All he asks of you is be on time and play hard, which every manager asks for that, but a lot don't get it, and that's what they do. And, they were surprised at what they're getting out of Carrasco. They're young pitching, and that's the thing. When you have a bunch of young pitchers in your rotation, and you're coming into September, it's Danny Salazar one and Carrasco's another. You don't know what to expect, what they're going to give you, and that's why there's a lot of let's wait and see how this thing plays out before we get overconfident with ourselves.
They've also got, and he's not in the ballpark tonight, he's gone back to Cleveland to get ready to start tomorrow afternoon against Detroit. In Detroit, I'm sorry, he's gone to Detroit to get ready to start, is Corey Kluber, who, if you don't know the name, you need to know the name. The guy has had one of the best seasons of any starting pitcher in all of baseball this year.
Yeah, without question. Power arm, unbelievable slider, and when you watch him pitch, it's shocking to me how anyone gets a hit off of him.
And forgive me, the game is in Cleveland, so he has gone back home. 2-1 the count on Roberto Perez. Corey Kluber on the season has 213 strikeouts. A guy whose demeanor never changes on the mound, although his manager told us he's sneaky funny in the clubhouse. You gotta keep an eye on him. How about this pitching matchup tomorrow, a game you can see on ESPN?
Get it early. If you don't get them early, you're probably not going to get them. So they're practicing up tonight. Apparently, they seem to be wanting to swing at everything.
Well, remember David Price coming off a start in which he gave up 9 consecutive hits. Unbelievable for a guy of his ability. So he'll be looking to bounce back.
Against that offensive juggernaut, the Yankees.
Yankees lost today 4-3 up in Toronto. Every loss so critical for the Yankees right now. They don't want to lose touch with the wild card leaders. Oakland lost again. The Angels swept the 4-game series from Oakland. So the Angels now have a 5-game lead in the American League West and easily the best record in baseball. Oakland, which holds the first wild card spot, lost. Detroit lost. Seattle won today, so they pick up some ground.
And Oakland and the Angels are trying to dispel the myth that starting pitching's essential, because the Angels lose Garrett Richards, their lead increases. Oakland gets John Lester, and they lose Yoenis Cespedes, their power bat in the middle of the lineup, and their record's not as good.
Here's a look at the lineup of Major League games this week on ESPN. A Labor Day doubleheader tomorrow. Games in Atlanta and then Cleveland. Red Sox Yankees on Wednesday. Diamondbacks Padres in the late game. And 1 week from tonight, we will be in Detroit. A couple of contenders, the Giants and the Tigers. The Giants won again today. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now. Okay, the Giants blew out Milwaukee today by a score of 15-5. Madison Bumgarner win number 16 on the season. Big days for Hunter Pence and Pablo Sandoval. And with the Milwaukee loss and a Cardinal win over the Cubs, St. Louis and Milwaukee are now tied atop the National League Central. Pittsburgh lost. The Pirates 2 back. I don't know that we could say that this season has been a masterpiece. There's been a lot of parity, a lot of teams around 500. But in terms of races and interest and what should be an exciting September, it's awfully good.
It's really good. And, you know, really, I don't know if you can say that anything's really been decided yet. I mean,
I think Baltimore's feeling pretty good.
Baltimore should be feeling really good about their chances,
yep.
But you know, Buck Showalter, he's not going to let the Baltimore Orioles just say, okay, you know, let's cruise down the stretch here since we have a big lead in our division. He's going to keep the throttle down and try to run away with that thing more than they are now.
A ball and 2 strikes on Tyler Holt, the right fielder, number 9 hitter, hitting .310 in limited at bats for the Indians, 10 for 29 as he shoots it foul. A guy with a lot of speed at 31 steals down at AAA. The good defense even extends into the crowd here in Kansas City.
Hey, what? They all just come with gloves and catch everything, don't they?
They're sporting a pretty nice 2-tone baby blue sleeve, baby blue Kansas City sleeve.
Blue?
Baby blue.
Carolina
right.
blue? That's right. I love when
Carolina blue.
I love when they wear their Carolina blue jerseys with the white pants.
Swing and a miss, and Duffy gets hold. Wow. Web gem.
There's not a lot of room there to jump either. He got up there. I have to call Barry Larkin and tell him we might have a new winner.
Uh-oh.
That's Barry on the phone with him now.
Back to the top of the Cleveland lineup. Here's Michael Bourne. Hit a fly ball to left field his first time up. Spent 5 weeks on the DL with a hamstring problem, an injury he had surgery for after last season. So that has really curtailed Bourne's ability to steal bases. Just 9 on the season. For a guy who went healthy, you could pretty much chalk him up for 40 or 50.
Yeah, and that's you know, that's a huge part of Michael Bourne's game is his legs. But I'll tell you that talking to Brad Mills, the bench coach for Terry Francona, he said he feels like his legs are finally underneath him now, and he feels confident to turn it loose now on the base path. So they seem to be thinking, okay, you know, if we're going to add this other asset to our game, which is the speed of Michael Bourne, we got to start it now.
That's a foul ball. Must have hit the foot